to put it on mute.
Hello and welcome to Odds.com's coverage of UFC Vegas 3 Blaydes Volkov. We've brought our best MMA analysts to this scene to find out ways to get us paid on Saturday night. Look at the bottom right-hand corner. The legend Oddshq in the house. Pete, so great to see you, my man. How are you?
I'm doing great. There's a couple of plays on. There's like 4 or 5 fights that I'm not even considering touching. And then there's a couple. I want to hear what Clint has to say about it because they seem like obvious plays, great value. I'm very interested to hear what Boston Nick and Clint will have to say about that.
Well, they are here and ready to rock. Clint, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast. How are you doing on this Wednesday evening?
Doing great, Jimmy. Happy to be here as always. I'm pumped up. Coming off a winning week last week. As a show, we crushed it last week, Jimmy. The listeners made some cash. We're looking to rebuild off of that and have another solid week. I'm stoked. Love having Pete in the house, too.
Yeah, we got Lodels rolling with us. And then there, bottom left corner, our man, Boston Nick, a.k.a. Mr. Fat Fist. Nick, how are you, my man?
Great to be here. I know the bookmakers aren't too happy with us, but everybody else is. So let's get down to it.
Let's get down to it. Shout out to the Cappers rolling with us in the Odds headquarter chat here on YouTube. We got Gregory Wilson in the house. Lourdes. We got Timothy Topher ready to get to work. Swervin. Skywalker DFS. A great group. Let's get right after it. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right to the preliminary card for Saturday, June 20th. Let's get after it. It starts with a lightweight bout. 5'10" American Austin Thud Hubbard opened up at Bet365 at plus 150. Is still there right now. 11-4-0 is Austin Thud Hubbard's record. Going up against 6'1" American Max Rated R Rohskopf, whom we don't know much about. 5-0 is his professional MMA record. He's a minus 175 favorite, and we don't know much about Rated R Rohskopf. Let's go to Clint right now. Is there a move to make here in this lightweight bout?
Jimmy, there is a move to make. There's definitely a move to make on this fight. So let me tell you a little bit about Rated R. He's a 2-time NCAA wrestling qualifier in the years 2015 and 2016. He is an ACC wrestling champion in 2016. He's a natural 155-pounder, and he is moving up to 170 pounds for this fight on short notice. He's actually huge for 155 pounds. Even though he's coming up a weight class, he's going to look like the taller man here, and he's got a solid wrestling base, and he's combined that with some sick jiu-jitsu. The dude lives and dies by the submission. So far, he's undefeated, 5-0 in his UFC career, and everybody and their mom is betting this kid. He opened up as a pick'em, and he's been bet all the way down to minus 175. And Jimmy, I ain't scared of no line movement. I have waited patiently for this moment. I'm planting my flag, buddy. I'm taking Austin Hubbard at plus 150. Ooh. You are not going to tell me that this upstart kid who has 5 MMA fights to his name, only one of which has gone into the second round, is UFC caliber. He has no striking to speak of, and if he doesn't get the submission, what happens next? His opponent, Austin Hubbard, is a natural 170-pounder. He's going to be the bigger, physical, stronger fighter, and he has been in the UFC, already had a murderer's row for his first 3 fights. He's only 1-2 in the UFC so far, and I think people are looking at that, and that's why he's getting disrespected the way that he is. But he has faced 2 massive, insanely high-level grapplers, the most recent of which was Marco Madsen, who is an Olympic silver medalist, Jimmy. You think that this guy knows how to counter grapple? He definitely knows how to counter wrestle. So being able to survive for 15 minutes with an Olympic caliber wrestler and come on strong in the 3rd round and almost knock the dude's head off has me licking my lips. I am all over Austin Hubbard here. He's been completely disrespected by the betting market. People do not give him the credit for his skill set, and I think Max is going to struggle to get this thing on the mat, and when he can't get Hubbard down in rounds 2 and 3, he's going to be eating shots, Jimmy. I love the value. Plus 150 on Hubbard, baby. Let's go.
Woof. Opening up with the dog. Timothy Topher agrees. Says this is a Tyson Nam situation all over again. But Howard Rourke says Max is going to make quick work of Austin.
Last week, Jimmy, I waited until that Tyson Nam line got all the way down to -120, and then we hammered it. Everyone was betting the dog. He opened +175. They bet him down to a pick'em. We knew that was the wrong side. We hit it anyway and cashed. We're doing the same thing here.
Well, let's go over to Boston. Nick, what do you think of our man Clint on a dog to get this party started?
I mean, he's right. Max is the bigger guy here, which is oddly enough fighting down at 155 pounds, 6'1", and like you said before, Clint, decorated college wrestler. He is, 5-0 record as a pro. This man will take you down at will, and he can submit you as well. If Hubbard's not careful, that could happen. But then again, Hubbard hasn't been submitted in over 4 years. Hubbard does like to give down takedowns. With the smaller cage, we're probably going to see it. But I think taking us on 5 days notice. I believe Monday he got the nod that he was getting a fight. I think it's going to be a little bit too much for Max. The odds should be the line should be flip flopped, right, Clint? It should not be where it is right now. It should be 100% flip flop. So I totally get the value on Hubbard. I want to see the weigh-ins here. It's going to be crucial for me. It's a slight lean to Hubbard, especially at those odds, though, for sure.
Very, very interesting. And let's get the legend Lodels.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those fights that I talked about in the beginning that I stayed far away from. Obviously, those guys covered all the main points. Huge step up for Rohskopf, and sometimes the big favorite lines for guys like that are warranted. For me, I do look at some analytics when it comes to MMA odds analysis. Well, I mean, I consider them to be analytics. Maybe real analytics people wouldn't, but there just wasn't enough data on this for me to feel comfortable betting it. I certainly haven't bet it. My eyeballing of the situation had me agreeing with Clint, but I didn't pull the trigger yet. Maybe I'm closer to it now. And I was thinking about the total. I feel like maybe the over 2.5 at plus money might be worth a shot as well. And if it goes to the cards, you never know what shenanigans you might run into when it comes to iffy judging with a guy like Rohskopf. So that's another reason why I wanted to stay away from the side. What do you think about the fight going 3 rounds, Clint?
I love that. You just said over 2.5 plus money?
Yeah, at plus money, and the fight going the distance is, I can tell you right now, I mean, obviously, Rohskopf's not going to be able to sub Hubbard like he's been able to sub his
previous.
The other guys have been fighting. What do you think about that, Clint?
I like it myself. Clint, I like the over 2.5 there.
So the only reason that I don't like the over 2.5 in this spot, Pete, is I don't feel like you're getting justly rewarded for taking that over at, plus 110, something like that. It's not great. Hubbard has 4 knockouts and 2 submissions himself. And something you guys may not know, someone found a tweet out there that Max had previously turned down a short notice fight because he was nursing an injury. He hadn't trained for 2 weeks. Then he got the UFC phone call. So he's coming off the couch. He's coming off of an injury. I don't think this kid's in shape, and he's already a round 1 machine. I feel like he may be sub or bust here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he runs out of gas and Hubbard knocks him out. So I'm not going to step in front of the total on this one, just because if everyone's right, if we are wrong and the world is correct, Max is going to win this thing by first-round submission anyway. If he doesn't get that first-round submission, what happens? I don't think he has the gas to go 15.
What's Hubbard inside the distance?
Go ahead.
What's Hubbard inside the distance, I wonder then?
Hubbard inside the distance, plus 345.
Clint, if you like Hubbard, to finish inside, that's
mind a sprinkle.
You might want to sprinkle that one. I do like the over 2.5, Pete. I really do. I like that look. I think I might sprinkle something on that. Maybe even the full. What's the full distance? Am I getting a little bit extra, or how much extra am I getting?
What Hubbard?
5 cents.
I'm sorry. What?
5 cents.
5 goes to the decision is plus 120 versus plus 115 for the over 2.5. Not a big difference.
Yeah, over 2.5. It's not worth it for a full distance. 2.5 minutes is a long time in the fight. So over 2.5 would be my play on this for a total, if anything.
Wow, Marco Ortega says low hanging fruit. Is it that good, Clint? Plus 150?
I just don't get it, Pete. I think that worst case scenario, this should be a pick'em. More realistically, the guy with the UFC experience should be favored. Davi Ramos is a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and like I mentioned, Marco Madsen is an Olympic silver medalist. This guy has been able to weather the storm from both of these guys, who both have additional UFC caliber experience. He's got 3 full fights going a full 15 minutes at the UFC level. This kid has 5 fights going 1 round apiece. Just the experience level is a massive, massive gap here. So as much as we're hyped on the fact that this guy's got sick BJJ, we're hyped on the fact that he's a solid wrestler. We don't know that that translates to the UFC level. And since we know he's injured and potentially not having trained the last couple of weeks coming into this, and he's already a short notice fighter, even if he had been training, he's going to be a short notice fighter, stepping up a weight class. I just don't understand, Pete. This is one of those spots that I have to take the plus 150. Yeah. I don't like it, but I have to do it because there's no way this kid should be plus 150 in this spot.
It's line drawn.
You're a good salesman on betting value, Clint. Man.
The line is flip flopped. It should be Austin Hubbard, minus and Max plus. So I get it.
I'm good with losing. If Max comes out and he's the new Conor McGregor and he chokes my boy out in the first round, okay, he's a freak. Like, he shouldn't be lined this way for his first fight in this circumstance.
Now, Dante Hines says under all day, so I guess that means if Max is for real, it ends in the first, and if he's not, he gets flattened, like you said. Okay?
That's how I feel about it.
Okay. That is a fun first bout on the card. Gonna see if Rated R Rohskopf is the real deal. Let's move on to a women's flyweight bout. 5'7" American Roxanne, the Happy Warrior Modafferi, 24-17-0, minus 150, opened up at Bet365, is now at minus 125. Money coming in on the underdog, 5'5" American Lucky Lauren Murphy, 12-4-0, open up plus 125, now plus 100. And Clint, we're gonna start back with you because last year you had me on Roxy at plus 300 versus Shevchenko, and it was a glorious plus 300 score that I tailed you on. So let's go right to you. Are you back in the Happy Warrior?
Jimmy, I've had a long history with Roxanne Modafferi. She doesn't realize it, but I love her. We've been in a relationship for many, many years. And I can't leave her, Jimmy. I can't leave her. Everyone needs to take a break as soon as this show is over and head on over to Instagram. My girl Roxy has put on some size, Jimmy. Yeah. I said it on my show, on my podcast. This is the first fight in her life she's ever looked like a professional fighter. This girl has never done strength and conditioning before. It's been all technique all the time. And now she finally has the muscle and the physique to go along with it. And that was her biggest question here for me going up against Lauren Murphy. Murphy's a hard-nosed, tough brawler who just wants to bring the pain every single fight, and she's kind of evolving herself. She's got some good pop on her punches, but Roxanne getting this fight against the cage, getting this fight to the ground. We talked about the small cage affecting and being a favorable thing for grapplers. That plays right into Roxy's game, and when you see her and see the amount of muscle that she put on, I'm all about it. I laid the wood with Roxy. I'm taking her minus 125, minus 110, minus 135, whatever it is, I'm on Roxy.
Timothy Topher says, Clint, how sad you will be when both your girls lose this week, Roxy and Gillian. Let's go to Pistol Pete.
Timothy.
What do you think
blow, my man.
With Foxy Roxy, Pete?
Again, I mean, I've made a bunch of bets on this card already, but this is another one where I was just like a total pass for me. Obviously, Roxy is it's impressive how much she's been improving, as the years have gone on. Her last fight, amazing, but I'm not so quick to write off Murphy either. I think she's done a lot. She's the weight shift was good for her, and I just don't really have an opinion. I don't even like. I was thinking about maybe taking a shot with the under at the huge dog line of plus 240 or whatever, but even that I don't want to touch. It's a pass for me. I have no bet on this one.
Boston Nick, you have a move to make here?
Listen, Roxy improves every single fight. It's just so damn impressive. It really is. She destroyed Macy Barber, who was supposed to be the next big ticket in the UFC. Yeah, Macy kind of blamed it on an injury, but that was an injury that basically Roxanne forced. She was beating her up before that happened, and she would have beat her up afterwards. So Roxy, in my opinion, 2018, 2019, one of the most improved fighters in the UFC. And like Clint said, if you could take a picture, look at that Instagram photo of Roxy, you're going to be like, is that the same girl? I mean, you're obviously going to see the face and know it's the same girl, but the body is just different. And she's just stacked. She's jacked. And Murphy, on the other hand, I mean, she keeps a great pace. You know what I mean? She keeps coming. She did fight KGB in her last fight, and I think Clint Blaydes is with me on this one. I believe she lost that split decision against KGB Lee.
One of the worst robberies I've ever seen.
Thank
Jimmy,
you.
if you weren't watching that fight live, Joe Rogan was commentating and literally calling out the judges for texting in the middle of the fight. They weren't even watching it.
Yep, texting. They were looking.
So mad.
Yeah, the commissioner. They were texting back and forth to each other, looking. It was ridiculous. A few years ago, I might have took Murphy. No way. I'm on Roxy all day on this one. I'm with you.
Wow.
Roxy Modafferi with both of our guys.
And as the sports keg likes to call her, the librarian.
The librarian.
and money coming in on Lucky Lauren. So it's minus 125 right now on Bet365. So Jesus Ortiz in the house says, I love Roxanne here. Very, very interesting stuff.
She's got 41 professional fights. It's unreal.
Yeah, no, she doesn't mess around.
Jimmy, I can tell you why money's coming in on Lauren Murphy.
Let's hear it.
Roxanne Modafferi, like my boy Nick said, like the keg says, she looks like a librarian. She's never looked like a fighter before, and not many people have seen that Instagram post that I'm talking about. So they watch her previous fights, and she's this little string bean, awkward-looking girl, and everyone's talking about in her last fight, Macy Barber blew out her ACL. It wasn't Roxy that beat her. It wasn't Roxy that took her down. The ACL blew out. That's the only reason she won that fight. And then the other girl in this equation, Lauren Murphy, is coming off of a third-round KO. She fought a girl that gasses out hard in every single one of her fights and clipped her with a knee on her way down. So one girl looks like a fighter and is coming off a knockout. The other girl is a fighter that no one's ever been excited about before, and she's coming off of a win that everyone's poking holes in, and that's the reason everyone is continuing to doubt my girl Roxy, and she's going to prove them wrong.
Roxy on Saturday night. Clint is taking out Roxy on Saturday night. Let's move on to the lightweight bout. 5'9" American Matt, the steamroller Frevola. 8-1-1. Opens up at the pick'em at Bet365. It's still there. Going up against 5'10" American Frank the Crank Camacho. 22-8-0. His professional MMA record. Pistol Pete, what do you think of this lightweight bout? Is there a move to be made here?
I got a lot of bets on this card, but this is another one that I passed on. You know, obviously competitive odds. The odds make sense to me. I was leaning Frevola. You know, I was thinking that, he's been leaning on his wrestling a lot more recently, and that's been, I think, a good thing for him. And the odds, aren't too steep. If when Camacho, I was thinking about inside the distance. Camacho has a lot of finishes, obviously. Could easily see a finish here. I was thinking about Frevola, thinking about under 2.5 at minus 120, or the fight not going the distance. I haven't bet it yet. I'm interested to hear Clint and Nick's analysis, but so no bet for me as of right now. Leaning Frevola, leaning under.
Leaning Frevola, leaning under. Let's go right to our man, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast. Clint, what do you think about leaning Frevola and leaning under?
This is one where I'm going to side with Pete, Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not touching it.
Yeah,
I can't figure this fight one way or the other. So Matt Frevola, he's in that young, hungry contender slot, 8-1. Frank Camacho's 22-8, got the wealth of experience on his side. Camacho, both these guys are pressure fighters. They're both going to come forward. Matt Frevola's got some improved striking. He fights out of the Serra-Longo fight gym, so he's got some sick BJJ to go with his wrestling. His striking is coming along, but Frank Camacho's got that power, and he's got a massive work rate. This guy punches essentially constantly throughout the fight. So I'm a little nervous because Matt Frevola can grind out Frank Camacho, and Frank Camacho can absolutely knock out Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola got knocked out by Marco Polo Reyes, who is a 500 fighter that isn't in the UFC anymore and hasn't knocked anybody out in a long time, guys. So I'm a little concerned with his chin. He took some big shots in his last couple of fights as well that I got to worry about an early accumulation of damage on a young fighter. So I feel like Frank Camacho is going to find the button on this one, but Matt Frevola's got that wrestling in his back pocket, so I'm not touching it.
Now, what about the under?
The under is not a bad look because, like I said, the itching sensation I've got here is that Frank is going to find that button. So I don't mind the under. The only problem is it's juiced to minus 120, and I don't like to lay wood on the under unless I feel very, very confident in it. When I look for unders and overs, I like to be rewarded. I like to get plus 130 or better on them just to make sure I'm flipping the coin at the right price. I don't think that Matt Frevola finishes Frank Camacho. So since we've only got one guy that has the ability to finish, in my opinion, in this fight, I don't want to touch the under. I'd rather play the guy I think is going to win by finish straight.
Right. What about a Frevola by decision hedged with Camacho inside the distance? Is that?
I mean, that could work. You're getting a little tricky for me, but that could work.
Yeah.
I do bets like that all the time. I'll take them both by decision if I think it's going to be a decision bet and get a plus 140, plus 180 type line.
Yeah, I no bet for me, and based on what you guys have said so far, it's going to continue to be that way. What do you think, Nick?
Nick, what do you think?
I mean, listen, Frevola's UFC debut wasn't something from a fairy tale. It was more like something from a nightmare. He's finished in the first minute of his very first UFC debut. You only get one, so it's a debut, obviously. But since then, he's routed off 3 phenomenal performances. I know some people thought he lost against Pena and whatnot, and I went back and rewatched the fight, and you could have gave it to Pena, but you also, like I said, if you can make an argument for either fighter winning that fight, it's not a robbery. On the other
real close fight.
Right, a very close fight. On the other hand, Camacho, he's a decorated black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he doesn't use it. I'm not sure why he doesn't use his base, which is obviously his grappling. That's probably why he's 2-4 in the UFC right now. I mean, Dariush did dominate Camacho, did take him to the mat and do what he wanted with him. So that's another slight lean to Frevola because I don't know. But this is definitely a pass situation. And a pick-wise, I would probably lean Frevola pick. I think he might get it done just with the small cage and having that grappling aspect that Camacho doesn't use. He doesn't use his base, which is his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is so weird. Like I said, that's why he's 2-4 in the UFC.
Our analyst hesitant to make a move on the Frevola Camacho lightweight bout. Let's move on to the women's flyweight bout. 5'7" American Cortney Cast Iron Casey. 9-7-0 opens up at bet 365 at plus 110. Is now sitting at plus 100. Going up against 5'5" Canadian Gillian the Savage Robertson. 7-4-0 is her MMA professional fighting record. Opens at a minus 138 favorite at bet 365. Bet down to a minus 125 favorite. Nick, let's go with you. Women's flyweight bout. Is there a move to make here?
Casey's coming off a big win versus Barriault up at 125. But Robertson and the drug smuggler Barriault, if you guys remember correctly, are 2 different animals in my opinion. This is Casey's second fight, 125 pounds, so this is a true test to see if she belongs in this weight division. Robertson is coming off a pretty devastating loss to Macy Barber, as we were just talking about. Roxy, dominated Macy Barber. Just 2 minutes into the round 1. It's a tough one. Before that, though, she won 4 or 5, all ending by submission. Robertson is no stranger to the flyweight division. I think this is where it might separate. It's a lean here to Gillian Robertson. And if I said otherwise, I would probably get hate mail from Clint. So I'm sticking with Gillian Robertson here, the true redhead, because that's real red hair right there, right, Clint? So my lean here is Gillian Robertson, and maybe by submission. I want to see what can get Gillian by submission at right now.
Which who?
Gillian Robertson.
Hold on, let me check. Robertson by sub plus 265. If you shop around, you might be able to get better.
Okay. One thing I worry about here is Casey is still the bigger girl, and it's weird about she wasn't fighting at 125 before this. Yeah, this is a lean to Gillian Robertson. I'm not betting it. I'm sure Clint is. I'm going to let him take action on this one, but it's a lean to Robertson. But we'll see. What do you think, Clint?
I had a lean to Casey.
Okay.
Ooh, tell me about that, Pete.
Well, no, I mean, I thought that her last win was impressive. I like the move to 125. I love it when fighters, move to a proper weight class and then have the kind of performance that she did in her last one. Just a lean, though. I definitely didn't bet it, and I know that her takedown defense has been kind of a weakness historically, but I think she's improving on it. It's just a lean. I definitely didn't bet it. What do you like here? Did you bet this one, Clint?
Yeah, I did. And I went ahead and bet my girl Gillian Robertson.
Okay.
This is another one of those fighters that I basically put the buy on stamp on, and she got bumped off by Macy Barber, who we know how athletic, physically strong, and explosive that girl is. Gillian wasn't able to secure the takedown and paid for it in that fight. But unless you've got that ability and you can't make Gillian pay for her missed takedowns, I don't think you're going to be able to stop her. And again, we're in the small cage here, so it's going to be easier for Gillian to close that distance, combined with the fact that Cortney Casey's takedown defense is awful. I think it's going to be Gillian all day, and she's a monster. She gets in there and she ground and pounds people like a vicious savage, which exactly is why her name is perfect for her. Her submission game is on point. I think Cortney Casey is going to have to find some kind of a wild submission off of her back. Not saying she can't do it, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Gillian Robertson is improving. She's super young. This is an 8-year gap in age. So I think that, Cortney Casey may be in the right place. She might be in the right spot, but I don't think that she's going to be improving as rapidly as Gillian Robertson is. And then I think once Gillian Robertson gets her to the ground, it's going to be over. The reason I'm playing her straight, though, is Cortney Casey is tough. She's tough. She's durable. She's got a decent submission game herself. So there is a chance that Gillian won't be able to put her away. But I think with the grappling, she'll be able to edge out a decision. I usually like to go inside the distance for Gillian Robertson just because of the way that she fights. But this is one of those rare circumstances I feel like it might have a chance to go to the cards. So I am going to lay the wood with her and play her straight here.
Backing the knucklehead, the Canadian, Gillian the Savage Robertson. Let's move on to another bout with a Canadian involved. Middleweight bout, 6'1" Canadian, Marc-Andre, power bar Barriault. 11-4-0 is his professional MMA record. Opens up at Bet365 as a plus 110 dog. Still there, no movement. Going up against 6-foot Poland-born Oskar Piechota. 11-3-1. You're minus 138 favorite here. Pistol Pete Loshak. What do you think about this Canadian?
Well, this is a bet I made. I have no idea who's going to win this fight. But I think much more likely than not, there's going to be a finish, and I took the under. So I didn't even when I was running my numbers and everything, I didn't even bother thinking about who's more likely to win. I'm like, my bet on this one is going to be the under. Am I wrong, guys?
I myself kind of like it. I mean, Oskar has been finished in his last 3 fights. Only thing is, Barriault has went to the decision in his last 3 fights. But if I see something, listen, see all these finishes we're getting with these small cages.
Yeah, exactly.
What odds you getting, Pete?
For the under, I think I got like 125 or something, and fight not going the distance is like 160, 170, minus 160, 170.
Yeah, I'd go with more the.
Brandon K likes Piechota by decision, though.
I like the under. I mean, listen, Piechota doesn't win his fights by decision. It's either knockout or bust. In my opinion, if you go to his resume, but. I don't know. Barriault's 0-3 in the UFC right now, and Piechota's on an 0-3 stead loss. So I think whoever loses this fight is probably getting their walking papers. What do you think, Clint, here? Because I don't have a read on either one of these fighters to win or lose. I'm kind of liking the total here. I just want to take a look at some more odds.
Yeah, so this is one where it's kind of in my stay away category here.
Really?
I was really high on Marc-Andre Barriault before he got into the UFC. I really thought that he had what it was going to take. I liked his skill set, good counter wrestling, decent power on the hands, good volume, good gas tank. I thought this is, and so far he's been thing. Now, Piechota, on the other hand, this guy is he's another like finish or bust type of fighter. He's only got gas for about a round and a half. So if he doesn't get the finish in round 1, he's completely open to get killed, and that's exactly what's happened so far in his UFC career. He's only got 3 losses. Those 3 have come in a row. Those 3 have all come by finish. The only issue is I don't know if Barriault's got the power to finish him. So I honestly, I have no idea on this one, guys. Like, my thing is, if Piechota wins this fight, he's going to land it early. However, I think he's going to struggle to take down Barriault. Barriault does have that decent counter wrestling. He's going to keep it standing. And then I think once Oskar gasses, it's Barriault's fight to lose. He should be able to land the knockout. The dude's got 8 knockouts on his record before he got to the UFC. And we've proven that Oskar isn't really UFC caliber, but I'm not sold on the fact that Barriault is UFC caliber either at this point in time. So if there was going to be a look on this fight, it would be the under, Pete. I'm with you on that one. That would be the only way I would play it, but I've got enough action on other spots. I'm going to pass on this one.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's like one of these heavyweight fights where it's like, under 1.5, I'll take it at minus 300 or whatever. Minus 125. So in order to have a little bit of value there, you're looking at a 60% proposition. You're fine, right?
Yep.
And this is one where I'm talking about. I like to have both fighters contributing to an under or an over. And in this case, both guys can finish. Absolutely. So under would be the way I'd lean.
And why do you say Barriault doesn't have the power? I mean, he's got knockout wins on his resume for sure, right?
Yeah, but at the UFC, he's been doing these split decision losses.
Yeah.
He's fought really closely with people. He hasn't sat down on his punches. He hasn't really cut loose and let go. If he was going to, this would be the fight that he would do it. But he hasn't showed me that he can do it so far in the last 2 years of his fight career.
He's a dirty boxer with power, and that's about it. But I'm looking at my notes here again, and it says here the way I'm betting this is no distance if I can get decent odds. So nail on the hammer right there.
I like it. Nice work. We found an angle in that middleweight bout. Let's move on to women's strawweight bout. 5'1" American Tecia, the tiny Tornado Torres, 10-5-0. Opens up at Bet365 at plus 180. Is now plus 170. Going up against 5' American Brianna, the Bull. Van Buren, 9-2-0 professional MMA record. Opens up as a minus 220 favorite. Still at minus 200. Clint, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast. You making a move here in the strawweight bout?
Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah, I am. So this is one very, very similar to the first fight of the evening where I simply don't understand. What are these people doing? We've got a girl.
What's the deal with the massive underdog line here? Yeah.
What is the deal? My boy Danny going head-to-head with me here, but I got to tell you, the best value – yeah, right there. Timothy, my boy, knows what's up. The best value on the card is Tecia Torres. She's on a 4-fight skid right now. Everyone looks at that record and goes, oh, she's lost 4 times. She's garbage. She's out of here. Dude, Jessica Andrade, former champion – who destroyed Rose Namajunas with the raw power that she carries. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the queen of this division, who ruled for years uncontested. Weili Zhang, who's the current champion, who's destroying everybody who came across her path. And then Marina Rodriguez, who's a very exciting young up-and-coming contender.
Don't forget Jessica Andrade.
Something that all 4 of these women have in common is that they are also much larger or have reach advantages on Tecia Torres. She's been fighting elite level competition with a size discrepancy. Van Buren is the first fight in 5 years, Jimmy, that she's going to be able to fight someone her own size. And I know everyone's saying, Clint, don't do it. Clint, stay away. But folks, this is a 50-50 fight. Van Buren may win this fight, but she fights the exact style that it's going to take to allow Tecia Torres to win. They're both going to look to push each other up against the fence. They're both going to look for takedowns. They both wing big power punches at each other and rely on being the bully in there. And yes, Van Buren's a little younger, but the level of competition that Tecia has had and faced over the last couple of years is something that you cannot reproduce. It's only her second UFC fight. I can't believe the disrespect. Yes, she might get it done, but I have to take the plus 170, Jimmy. I have to.
Can't believe the disrespect. Pete, as soon as Clint got into this fight, you were nodding your head.
Yeah.
Tell us why you like it.
Yeah, I was, the more, when I first started analyzing it, I was liking Tecia a little bit. And then I started liking it more and more and more. And at first I was thinking it's one of those frustrating things where you think someone should be a dog, but not as big of a dog as the market is pricing them at. And that's always because you're betting on a bet that you expect to lose, but you think there's value, so you bet it. But now I'm really not even sure if that's even the case. And it's not necessarily that I think Brianna's being overvalued, or overestimated. It's just that Tecia's being massively disrespected here. Those were all decision losses to the cream of the crop. Not only that, but, I think that it's very likely to go the distance. If Tecia wins, it's probably going to be by decision. I'm seeing right now, I don't know if we're allowed to name books here, but I'm seeing at a book that I'm looking at right now as we speak, Tecia by decision plus 280. So, it's got to have value. And everything that Clint said is right. The stylistic matchup, I think, favors her as well. Even if it didn't, I would still be liking her. But I think it does.
Nick, what do you think of this?
I mean, I agree. If you're going to bet Tecia, you bet it, but I don't think she finishes Van Buren.
Right.
Buren, she looked excellent in her debut against Livia Souza, scrappy Livia Souza. Hasn't lost since 2015, and minus a grappling bout early in 2019, but we're not going to count that. She's another great kickboxer, just like Tecia Torres, but with superb grappling as well. I believe firmly that where this fight separates, Van Buren is just more hungrier than Tecia is at this point in the game. And that's just about it. That fire isn't with Tecia anymore. I just don't see it in her fights. I feel like her and her girlfriend are kind of just a little bit lackadaisical, maybe trying to start a family. Great. That's awesome. I like Van Buren here. I don't like the odds like you guys were just talking about. It's my pick. If I can get it at a lower – what's it at right now, Van Buren?
You're not getting it lower.
What's it at right now?
Minus 200 at Bet365.
I mean, I might take Van Buren. What's Van Buren by decision?
By decision. Let's see. Minus 135.
That's something I would look into. I want to see him at the weigh-ins. Believe it or not, I think Tecia Torres is actually 1 inch taller than Van Buren. But I believe this fire with Van Buren, this hungriness is in what Tecia has been in the game for so long. I believe that's where it separates right there. I like Van Buren here. I'm against them both.
Let me throw one more thing to you guys. So Tecia Torres has a 52% defense rating, takedown defense rating, and that's not stellar. But looking back at the numbers, the only reason she has a 52% takedown defense rating is in her fight against Jessica Andrade, she gave up 10 takedowns. 10 takedowns in one fight against Jessica freaking Andrade. Her takedown defense rating is a whole lot better than the numbers actually suggest. It was one fighter who had a very massive physical advantage over her that was able to ruin that percentage. So if anybody's banking on the fact that Van Buren's going to be able to dominate her physically, I would pump it just a little bit. Slow your roll, kiddo. And then Van Buren has only had one UFC fight, and she herself gave up 2 takedowns to the underwhelming Livia Souza. So if Livia Souza can get multiple takedowns in one fight against Van Buren, you don't think Tecia Torres is going to be able to land some?
No, she's not going to try for any. She's a stand-up fighter, kickboxer. She's not going to try to grapple with Van Buren.
Woo. There we go. Clint and Oddshq on the other side of Boston Nick here. That's where we have it. Now we go into the main event of the preliminary card, a lightweight bout. 5'7" American Clay, the Carpenter Guida, 35-16-0. Opens as at plus 188 at Bet365, is now plus 200 there because money is coming in on the King. 5'10" American Bobby King Green, 24-10-1. Open at minus 225, now at minus 250. Pete Oddshq, the main event of the preliminary card. Are you making a move?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to say the same things that everyone else has seen. Green just looks like he has a lot more in the tank. Obviously, he could lose. It is a big favorite line, so I was analyzing this fight, and I was like, the line is just a little bit too high of a favorite line. I just can't take it. And then I just sat there for a few more seconds, and I was like, all right, I'll take it. So I did take a shot with Green. I took like 245. I don't remember exactly what I took. I think there's a little bit of value with him. Could be wrong, but I took Green. Just is, Guida looks spent and Green has more in the tank. And I think that his current losing streak is maybe a little bit of a mirage. Not a total mirage, but a little bit of a mirage. So I took Green. Yeah, I did.
You are 100% right. I would take it straight, and I'm going to also parlay him. I might even use him as an anchor here. When I think of Clay Guida, I think of warrior, I think of pioneer, but the most importantly it's CTE. That's what I think of. That man has been in more wars than we can count on fingers and toes. He's got 29 UFC fights, and every single one of them are wars or were wars. And just go back and look. I mean, even the one with BJ Penn. BJ Penn kind of, hit him a few times, and that was even surprising to me. That's his last win, by the way, is BJ Penn. He's 1-3 in the past 2 years. With, like I said, his only win coming up to, I don't like to say this word, but because he's an idol of mine, but BJ Penn's just straight washed up, and we know that. He will not be fighting.
I put nothing in that win over Penn.
It does exactly. It proved nothing. And he still couldn't finish him. Let's get that. He still couldn't finish BJ Penn. BJ Penn went 3 rounds and washed up BJ Penn. There's so much value in Bobby Green, in my opinion. You got a 38-and-a-half-year-old. He will be 40 by the end of the year. Clay Guida. Yeah, Bobby Green is 33 years old. He's not no spring chicken. But there is a big difference between these two aging fighters in regards to where they still are in competition level. It's Bobby Green here. And I have him in, I think, in a couple parlays, or I'm going to put him in a couple parlays. But what is it, minus 245 is his lowest right now, or the average?
Something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah. If you want to line shop because you're ashamed of taking such a massive favorite, I'm seeing some 230s, 235s in the 230.
I wouldn't be surprised if, and he probably should. The Sports Keg putting one of those J-size bets on Bobby Green.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see how Clay gets Bobby out of there unless he just clips him so clean on the chin. And I just don't see that happening at Clay's age. It's Bobby Green or pass. I don't care what anybody says.
Well, I care what Clint says.
Anytime someone like Clint is being completely silent, he's about to land a haymaker of an opposition opinion, usually.
Let's hear it, Clint. What do you think here, man? Main event, preliminary card, the Carpenter versus the King.
I can't believe the disrespect. No, I'm kidding. It's a landslide, guys. This is an easy win here. Bobby King Green should destroy Clay Guida this weekend. I don't like that number, though. King Green is one of those guys that, look at his record right now. He finds a way to shit the bed. Now, I will say that his last fight against Francisco Trinaldo, he absolutely got robbed. Yep. He should have won that fight running away. He outlanded Francisco 50 significant strikes to 31 significant strikes. He was robbed blind that night. So he should be 2-1 in his last 3.
Yep.
So the only reason I'm passing here is simply because, like I said, Green finds ways to lose fights. And I know that Clay Guida is shot, but the main reason he loses is by submission, and I don't know that Bobby Green has got the ability to do so. I think Bobby's more of a knockout fighter. So that's kind of the thing that concerns me, is this one might end up going to the judges and being a little close and hairy. If he can't land the knockout blow, Clay Guida might keep it close. So I'm passing on this one, but I totally understand, and it should be Green.
Pete, what can I get Bobby Green inside the distance? Sorry, Jimmy, I apologize.
No, yeah, because someone did ask about the total, which is interesting. I'm usually better on totals than I am on sides, and this one, had me scratching my head a little bit. Obviously because of the smaller octagon. Anytime you're getting a big dog line on an under with guys who can get finished, is always tempting. I stayed away from a play on the total or a play on Green inside the distance or by decision. But you asked about Green inside the distance. What do you want to know?
What is it at? What's the line at right now inside? Bobby Green.
For inside, Green inside is plus 160.
That's not good enough for me.
You're getting under 2.5 at plus 155. Might as well just play the round totals and have both fighters included in that.
Exactly. Good point.
That is your main event on the preliminary card, and that is the preliminary card in its entirety. So we talked about 7 fights there. And let's go to preliminary card best bet time. And let's start with the legend, Pistol Pete Loshak. On this preliminary card, what would you consider your best bet, Pete?
I guess let me just refresh my memory here. I guess it would be Piechota or Barriault under, or fight doesn't go the distance.
Piechota,
I go before Clint?
under. Say what, Nick?
Can I go before Clint this time?
Yeah, of course you can.
Roxanne Modafferi.
Son of a bitch.
Best bet for Clint is Modafferi, down to minus 125 right now. The best bet from our man Pistol Pete Loshak is the under in Barriault Piechota, or not to go to the distance in that middleweight bout. Clint, did Nick just steal your thunder?
Nick stole my thunder. Son of a bitch. So I can't give out Roxanne Modafferi. You leave me with no choice, Nick.
Sorry.
Austin Hubbard is the best bet on the undercard, folks. First fight of the night. Insane value. Line is wrong. Wrong guy's favored. Austin Hubbard. Let's go.
Austin.
Great value.
Bud Hubbard at plus 150 is Clint's on the card. That is your preliminary card breakdown. Big thanks to our MMA analysts. We have Pistol Pete, Loshak, Boston Nick, and Clint Starr, the diehard MMA podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel right here, Odds HQ, and follow us on Twitter, Odds110. And that takes us to the main event card. The main card. Let's get after it right now. Welcome to Odds.com breakdown of the main card. We have our best MMA analysts here on the scene. The legend Pistol Pete Loshak. We have Boston Nick and Clint Starr, the diehard MMA podcast. And we have 5 bouts that lead up to the heavyweight fight, the main event. Let's start rolling through this main card right now. Big shout out to all the cappers we have in chat rolling with us. Dante Hines, Nilo, Gabriel Killian, Eric Roberts, Brandon K, Making You Money, Timothy Topher, Jack Birkenall, The Sports Keg, Jake Coyle, Brandon Williams, Houdini, 2KJ, Spot On Picks. What a great group. Gerardo Hernandez, Connor McLaughlin, Nick Rodriguez, Swerve Van. Spot On Picks. Great group. Let's get after it. We're going to start with this catchweight bout. Man, we have 5'8" American Jim A10 Miller, 31-14-0, opening at Bet365 plus 188, still there. Going up against a man 6 inches taller. So you'd think there'd be an enormous reach advantage. There really isn't. But he does have 6 inches of height. 6'2" American Roosevelt, the Predator Roberts, 10-1-0, minus 225 favorite here. Woo, 6 inches. Clint, catchweight bout. You making a move?
Jimmy, I like when you start with 6 inches and then go straight to me. That minus 225 is drying up quick, buddy. I see that line already moving to minus 240, and I agree with it. This is a young man's game. Sorry, I killed Nick. I'm glad he didn't choke on his drink there. So Roosevelt Roberts should win this thing running away, buddy. Jim Miller is a broken man at this stage. I'm a huge fan of him. I've made some cash with him. Love watching him fight. He's always a threat in round 1. He can win any fight he's in by submission in round 1, but if he doesn't get that finish in the very first round of the fight, he's just done. Roosevelt Roberts showed us in his last match against Brock Weaver that he can fight closely in an exhausting, high-paced first round and then crank it up as the fight goes on. Jim can't keep up with this kid. If Roosevelt Roberts gets out of the first round, it's his fight to lose. I expect him to finish in rounds 2 or round 3 just by overwhelming the veteran. I've actually got a 2-unit banger parlay this week, Jimmy, and Roosevelt Roberts is my first leg.
Wow.
Roosevelt Roberts, first leg. Pistol Pete, what do you think of the first fight on the main card?
Yeah, this is a frustrating fight because I want to pull the trigger on Roberts, but unlike the Green fight, I actually didn't. And a lot of it has to do with how big of a decline do you think Miller is in? I mean, I kind of just feel like Guida is just cooked. Miller, though, he had one loss. He lost the decision fight. And now you're ready to call him, totally done. I ran my numbers said that the line is accurate. My numbers actually said that Miller had a little bit of an edge, but I didn't believe it based on the eye test. I want to bet Roberts here, but at this line against Miller, I can't do it.
Nick, what do you think of Pete's hesitation and Clint's bullish thoughts here?
Listen, I'm officially on the Roberts train now. That loss to Vince Pichel just threw me for a little bit of a loop. That's why I bet Brock Weaver in the last bout. I mean, Miller does have 5 submissions, and he does have a chance here. And like Clint said, it's in the first round. But Roberts is no slouch on the mat, as we all know. You know what I mean? What's the line we get on Roberts right now?
It's like 225 or something. I mean, it's
yeah. Okay, good. I'm actually happy with that because it's still he's just that new age talent. You know what I mean? In comparison, yes, Jim Miller got his fight game back together after controlling that Lyme disease that he had. One that went a little bit of a stint for a little bit, but it's now the new age athletes comparison to the old age athletes. And Jim Miller, unfortunately, is one of them now. He'll always be a gatekeeper as long as he wants to stay in that division, but that's all he's going to be. And I think Roberts is steadily improving, as we're seeing right now, every fight. I'm on the Roberts train here, and he'll be in one of my parlays for sure.
I'll tell you what I was going to do, though. I haven't pulled the trigger on this one either, but, Roberts got a finish in his last fight. Before that, he was mostly getting decisions. Roberts by decision is like plus 180 or plus 190. I did take a small shot with the over 2.5 at minus 120, I think, and I'm considering pulling the trigger on Roberts by decision. What do you guys think about that? Clint, do you think there's going to be a finish if Miller doesn't win in the first round?
I really do, Pete. I really do, because I just – Jim doesn't have it anymore, and we saw even in the Holtzman fight last time that, Holtzman almost put this guy away, and Holtzman's not a finisher at all. Right. The only reason that fight went to decision is because Holtzman can't finish. Robertson can finish, so I just don't think it's going to be the same outcome. I think it's Miller early or it's Robertson late, and it might go to the cards. It's MMA, buddy. You never know. Something crazy might always happen, but I definitely don't think this one makes it all the way to the judges.
Mm-hmm.
There we have it. The Predator Roberts, a must-use.
I wouldn't blame anybody for putting Jim Miller first round to win at plus 1,000. Probably you'll get him for or more, and then you can also bet Roberts.
The bookies aren't that dumb. It won't be plus 1,000. They know that's his only round to win.
I'm seeing Miller in round one plus 775 at one.
Whoa! Close, not bad. So if you guys are taking a flyer out on Jim Miller, that's the way you bet him. He doesn't get the finish after that. So, all right.
That is the first fight on the main card. Let's move on to the second fight. Welterweight bout. We have 5'11" American Belal. Remember the name Muhammad. 16-3-0. Opens up as a minus 160 favorite at Bet 365. Has gone down to minus 138. Money coming in on the 6-foot American Lyman Cyborg. Good. 21-5-0 is his MMA professional record. Opens as a plus 130 dog at Bet 365. Is now quickly a plus 110 dog. Boston Nick, what do you think here? Muhammad Good.
Listen, Lyman Good versus Belal. Muhammad might be one of the better fights on this card, believe it or not. Lyman hits like a Mack truck. We all know that. In his last fight, he handed Chance for country a good old ass whooping. We all know that. That was a beating. He's 3-2 in the UFC though. Losses coming to the only Damian Maia. Okay, I can respect that. And then Eliza Zaleski, and I respect that even more if you wanted the truth. And that was a split decision. Very, very close fight. Belal though is an animal all around. Great striker, and he could take you to the mat and submit you as well. And that's what I'm scared about here with Lyman Good is the same thing that Damian Maia did, take him down to the mat, maybe snatch some sort of choke on or submission. I just don't think Belal. I don't know. He can't sit in the pocket with Lyman Good. If he does, he's in big trouble. Smaller cage, Lyman Good's going to have more opportunities to be in that pocket. So, what are the odds at right now, guys?
Muhammad's a small favorite. The under is 2.5 at like plus 155.
That'd be a look I'd be looking at right there. The under 2.5. I'd be looking at the under 2.5 rather than the side here because Lyman Good can put Belal's lights out. Just one punch.
Pete, is there anything that appeals to you in this bout?
No, this is one that I have written on my notes here. Do a little bit more research, listen to what other people have to say. No play on it so far for me.
Clint, Belal, remember the name Muhammad becoming less of a favorite as the seconds go by. Do you understand the market move towards Cyborg Good?
I do understand the market move, Jimmy, although I do think that it's a bit of a recency bias situation. He did absolutely put a whooping on Chance Rencounter, but Chance Rencounter is a grappler who isn't overly skilled on the feet, and he didn't really go to his grappling in that fight much at all. So on top of that, it took Lyman Good up until, I think, the third round to finally put Chance Rencounter away. So even though we talk about the pop that this guy has on his punches, he didn't really get it done quickly enough for me there. His only other KO loss that we have that we can put any stock into was his last win over Ben Saunders. Ben Saunders is completely shot. He's got nothing left in the tank. A first-round KO over to that guy doesn't surprise me whatsoever or impress me. So then you've got to go back to 2015 where he KO'd Andrew Craig. Before that, he was getting submissions and decisions on the regional scene, Jimmy. This guy's 35 years old, and I feel like he's got a little too much hype around him after coming off that ring counter win. I was looking very closely at betting Belal Muhammad, but I didn't want to lay that much wood on it. Now that he's getting down closer to a pick'em price, I'm gonna wait. I'm just gonna sit tight for a minute, because if I can get Belal Muhammad at even money or even as a dog, I'm gonna take him. He's got the grappling in his back pocket. We saw that Lyman Good had nothing when Damian Maia put him on the mat. Damian Maia choked him out immediately, and I know Belal Muhammad is not Damian Maia. It's a different level. At the same time, Belal is very tough, very durable, and he's incredibly difficult to look good against. All this guy does is grapple, push you up against the cage, and get you to the mat immediately. And Lyman Good is a juice monkey. This guy is so ripped. He's got so much muscle, and the oxygen is just going to get sucked out of those muscles when Belal makes him wrestle. So I've got an outside shot here at Belal taking a decision. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I think that's the way that I'm going to go.
Listen, Clint, someone in the chat mentioned, we forgot Lyman Good had COVID recently. Do you think that's going to play dividends on his gas tank?
I'm sorry, one more time. The line broke up there.
Lyman Good had COVID recently, 3 months ago. He had the coronavirus. Do you think that's going to play?
Yeah. The only thing with that, though, is that we don't really know to what extent. He got diagnosed with it. Did he have a bad case of it? Was he bedridden for 2 weeks? Or was he one of the people that was walking around with it, coughing and spreading it? We have no clue. So I'm not going to put a whole ton of stock into him having COVID, because we don't know that he was on his deathbed with it. I'm not reading too much into that. I've been looking on his Instagram page. He looks as in good of shape as ever. His doctor's lined up. His cycle is on the correct route here. He's going to be good to go by fight time.
Muhammad inside the distance is plus 460.
Yeah, I thought about that. That submission has me scratching my chin here a little bit, Pete.
That's some shekels. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
that's why the under 2.5 doesn't look so bad to me either, because I do think Bilal's got a chance to submit, and then Lyman Good's got a chance to KO. So I wouldn't mind the under. I'm thinking about playing Belal. I'm getting close on this one, but nothing yet.
All right. There you have it. Let's move on to fight 3 on the main card. Women's bantamweight bout. 5'7" American Raquel Pennington. 10-9-0. Your favorite here, opening up at -138, now -150, is one win over 500. That's your favorite in this bantamweight bout. Going up against 5'6" American Marion, the Belizean bruiser, Reneau, 9-5-1, opens at +110, now +125. Pistol Pete Loshak, the third fight on the main card, this women's bantamweight bout. Does it have any angles that appeal to you?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was my play of the card, but then I'm actually, my screen is frozen here, so I'm not seeing any of the comments, but I saw someone comment a few minutes ago, Reneau and Burgos in a parlay, and it was a "you heard it here first" comment, which always scares the crap out of me when people say "you heard it here first." Loving Reneau. I thought Pennington is anything under -200 is a great play, and obviously it's very likely to go the distance, so Pennington by decision at +120 is also a play I hit. Always makes me nervous when people make "you heard it here first" comments on the other side. Loving Reneau, Pennington's got to be the play, right?
Clint, is Pennington the play here?
I'm over it, Jimmy. I can't back Pennington. She's been a fighter who I have supported and followed and bet on time and time and time again. And I just don't think she's got it anymore. She is a aggressive forward-pressing fighter who loves to push her opponent up against the cage. She gets some takedowns here and there. She's durable, but she's 1-3 in her last 4. Now, granted, she's lost to the GOAT, Amanda Nunes, Jermaine Durandamy, who's maybe the best striker in women's MMA today, and then Holly Holm. So, yes, she's lost to a very impressive level of competition. Yeah. But her win was a split decision against Irene Aldana that very well could have gone against her. And if you look at the outside of – if you look between the lines, the stuff outside the cage, her Instagram page, the stuff that she talks about, her head ain't in it anymore. She has been – it's been beaten into her at this point that she is not a champion and she's never going to be a champion. So I think she is on the retirement run right now. I think she's cashing a check. And when a fighter starts looking like that, there's no way in hell I can put my money on him. The only way I can look is the dog in this spot. But y'all know my rules. I don't bet on fighters over the age of 40 unless I've got a damn good reason. And Reneau is going to turn 43 the day of the fight.
Yep.
So how do I bet this fight? I simply can't unless someone can give me a damn good reason. Because if anybody can give me one damn good reason to bet on Reneau, I'll freaking do it. She looks like she is in shape for being 43 years old. Are you kidding me? She's hot.
Not
What
bad.
about the over a fight going distance? Is a big favorite line, obviously, but the over is what are we looking at here?
Minus 310.
Gosh, it got bet up. Yeah, the 310 fight going a distance is 280.
I'd parlay.
I mean,
2.5 you can parlay, I think.
Pennington is never finishing this fight. There's no
Right.
way Pennington wins this fight inside the distance. Reneau, on the other hand, broke her opponent's nose in her last fight and was roughing her up and has been on record talking about wanting to leave it out of the hands of the judges because she wins by finish, or if it goes to the judges' scorecard, she gets robbed in decisions. So she's coming out with a fire in this fight. I actually would look under before I looked over just because I think betting on Reneau getting angry and being the only one who actually wants to be in the cage might be a random shot that you sprinkle on.
Nick, can you give Clint one good reason?
Just one.
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, Reneau was 4 fights in the last 3 years. She's 2-2, and she lost to Yana Kunskova. I mean, I don't think so. My issue, though, with Pennington is, and he nailed it. I mean, I think he copied my notes again. Where's her heart? Where's her mind right now? It doesn't seem like it's in MMA anymore. I feel like she wants to start a family, and that's with Tecia Torres, who's also on the card. So this one's a tough fight to gauge. But let's face it here, the only win in the UFC is right now, or the most relevant win is Sarah Moras, okay? Marion Reneau. I don't know. Who's going to show up? Is it going to be Rocky Pennington or is it going to be Raquel Pennington? If it's Rocky, I think Rocky wins this fight. Otherwise, it's a pass for me. The odds are, what, Pennington right now is minus what?
Like 150-ish.
Okay. If I was to bet Pennington, it'd be by decision. I can't talk Clint on Reneau. Like you said, she's supposed to be 40. She'll be 43 on fight day. So, and she's gonna be the oldest fighter in women's history to fight. 43 is the oldest in the UFC. So, I'm not backing Mario here. I'm backing Pennington. This might be my last time I ever back her, and I might be placing a bet. I want to see the weigh-ins and see what happens.
Hey, Clint, pop that up one more time, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Look at this. I can't get it. I can't quite get it to move over far enough on my screen here.
Oh, she's cute.
But that's our girl right there. Look,
Oh,
man, look at that.
Oh my lord! Take
Wow.
that
I
off.
just can't see it.
She's
My
43.
screen is frozen, so I can't see whatever you're putting up there.
Pete.
Look at those arms.
I really want to, though.
All right, we're going to move on to
All right.
the featherweight bout. 5'6" American Josh Emmett. This is the bout that leads us into the main event. Josh Emmett, 15-2-0, opens up at Bet365 at plus 125, goes down to plus 110. Going up against 5'11" American Hurricane Shane Burgos, 13-1-0. Minus 150 opening line at Bet365, now minus 138. Josh Benedict says sick fight. LP Semlo says Emmett is vicious. Pistol Pete, what do you think of this featherweight bout? You making a move?
I think I might be on the wrong side of a lot of these fights, Jim. I took Burgos. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I think that Burgos is moving up and maybe still a little bit undervalued. It's not really a play against Emmett. Obviously, I definitely respect Emmett tremendously, but Burgos, taller and a reach advantage. I think that the smaller octagon may actually benefit him. But now I'm doubting my analysis. I took Burgos. I already bet it. I bet Burgos. Let's hear what the guys have to say.
Bet Burgos. Nick, what do you think of Pete's move?
I mean, Emmett, he's a hard-hitting son of a gun.
Yes,
We all know that.
obviously. Yes.
He moves well, takes great angles, and he likes to change levels a lot. I feel like that's where he's going to catch Burgos. He's going to go to change a level and throw that monstrous overhand right and catch Burgos. But Burgos, from the stats that I've watched and the tape I've watched, he throws with volume, a lot more volume than Emmett. And he's got a great 1-2 down the pipe, which is totally different than Emmett. Emmett's more of a bolo puncher, ducks, throws overhand rights, great left hook. Just weird here. I mean, yeah, Emmett was put out for about a year by Jeremy Stevens. Yeah, Jeremy Stevens basically broke his face, and he didn't fight for a year. But came back and beat Bektik and Michael Johnson. I also got wins over Lamas and Felipe Orantes. After Lamas is when he got slept by Stevens. Now you look at the competition of Burgos, you're looking at Marijuani, Cub Swanson, I'll give it to him there. Kurt Hallbro, come on now. Kurt Hallbro. I'm on Emmett here. Plus odds on Emmett versus Burgos. I love it all day. What can I get on him right now as we speak?
Damn, like 120 or so. Let's see what the odds are right now. I feel like, 117, 115.
I'm going to take it now. I feel like a lot more money is going to come in on Emmett and not Burgos. So right when we get off the show, I'm going to bet Emmett.
Well, Drunken Boxing says, I was leaning Emmett, but I've changed my pick. Let's get it, Shane. We have Pete on Burgos. We have Nick on Emmett. Clint, break this draw.
So what we've got is Shane Burgos, super sharp hands, young, exciting fighter, forward pressure, lots of volume, likes to come forward, and he is a super exciting prospect. His fight with Calvin Kattar was absolutely phenomenal. Had a great time rewatching that one, studying for this one. And then we've got the older alpha male product in Josh Emmett, who at this point almost seems like he's a one-trick pony with his power shots, and you hate to bet on a guy who only has one path to victory. He's still got the wrestling in his back pocket, but he doesn't really go to it all that often anymore. Shane Burgos has a 5.5-inch reach advantage, and he's got a phenomenal 90% takedown defense rating. Now, again, that's not against the super high-level competition, so I think the takedowns might be available for Josh Emmett. But what I'm going to tell you guys is I spotted something in the tape that is going to make my play what it is, and it makes me very, very confident in this play, is Shane Burgos gets hit with right hands constantly. In his fight against Kurt Hallbro, the score is that he wins that fight by first round submission. But before that happened, he got dropped by a right. He got knocked out by the right hand of Calvin Kattar. He got hurt by the right hand of Makwan Amirkhani, who is a guy who is not a striker and was outlanded 100 and something significant strikes to 20 in that fight. He still managed to pop Shane Burgos with a right hand that if he had any kind of striking sense or knockout power would have put the guy away. Yep. Cub Swanson and him went to war trading over 100 significant strikes apiece. I think Shane is teetering on the edge of taking too much damage in his UFC career already at 29 years old. He averages 7.09 significant strikes landed a minute, and while that is phenomenal, he absorbs 5.34. That's a great differential. That's a phenomenal differential in strikes, but you're absorbing 5 significant strikes a minute against a guy with death touch, against a guy who can put you down with a single shot. And you know what Josh Emmett's best punch is? The right hand. This fight is one that I thought I was going to be on Burgos all day. When I saw this fight lined up, I was thinking, lick my chops, double down, max bet on Burgos. He's going to be younger, faster, quicker, and then I watched the tape. And I just see way too many spots where he hasn't patched up that hole. And I see Gabe's comment that the height and reach advantage is going to be with Shane. And while that's true, Josh Emmett explodes like nobody I've ever seen. He closed distance. That right hand counter comes in faster than anything you've ever seen. I'm on Josh Emmett here. I'm on him big. I like him in this spot. I'm pretty sure he lands that absolute missile of a right hand, and he's got all 3 rounds to do it. We saw him finish Michael Johnson late in the 3rd round, like damn near before the bell, stole that fight back with a knockout. He's a threat. He's dangerous from bell to bell. We've got 15 minutes for him to land one bomb, and I think it happens.
And, all right, I'm on the wrong side. Fine.
And in a small cage, guys. So
small cage.
Burgos is not going to be able to strike from the distance he wants to. Emmett's going to be able to close that distance even faster than he would in the regular cage. And then if he wants to, check into his wrestling game, he can take Burgos down and gets defense. So I believe the small cage benefits Emmett tremendously in both aspects.
And we have never seen Shane take a step backwards. He's not the type of fighter that's going to get away and try and circle out and use that range. If he were, I think he would be a much sharper play here. But all that guy does is step forward. He literally plants his foot in the pocket. Like you see those boxing drills where they've got 1 foot each in a tire and they're not allowed to get out. That's how Burgos fights. He doesn't use that reach advantage the way someone should. And because of that, I think it's going to bite him in this match.
Yeah, I haven't bet it yet, but what do you think about the under? I was definitely thinking about it. You know, under's like 135. Fight inside the distance is, let me see what that is. You know, what do you think about under or inside the distance? Fight not going the distance, minus 180. Under's like 135.
I don't mind the under. I don't mind the under.
I don't mind the under so much either because I do think that Emmett's going to get the knockout, and the only person to knock him out was, like my boy Nick said, when he got his face broken that night against Little Heathen Stevens. I don't think that Burgos has that kind of power, so it's going to have to be an accumulation of volume punches type of situation to put him down. But at 2.5 rounds, you've got the shot of that happening early in round 3 or late in round 2. Yeah, I don't mind the under 2.5 at all.
Yeah, I mean, I know that
Rosa fought Burgos as well and did well against him. So, you know what I mean? Level competition, and these two athletes are just totally
What was that, Pete?
different. Sorry about that, Pete.
No, I was going to say that I know, you know, I watch interviews and stuff, and I know Burgos was saying that he wants to make a statement here. I know they all say that every fight they want to make a statement, but, you know, it does seem like Burgos either going to finish or get finished. So I was thinking about the under as well, although I didn't pull the trigger on it yet.
Pete, I can tell you that Timothy Topher in the chat says under 2.5 seems like the L word.
Oh, shit. Oh.
No, I believe that's lock.
Oh, okay.
We don't use the L word.
My L word is lost. Yeah, my L word is you lost. Again, another losing bet. Oh, it's lost. Oh,
I like it.
I was actually in the TV show The L Word season 2. Yeah, it's a storyline that disappears, but we hide video cameras in their bedrooms, and we watch them. I'm gonna have to
go back and watch now. Jimmy the Bag and Lesbians, my 2 favorite things in the world.
Right? Season 2, yeah. I got about 7 episodes.
I know what's going after this.
Okay, let's move on. A different L word. That is a different L word. All right. Very interesting spot here. Emmett Burgos. I've been told this from the previous MMA videos by Flipper 13 was watching. He was saying that when Pete starts getting nervous about his picks, they cash at a very high percentage.
All right. Well,
remember your birthday pick? Remember your birthday pick that you were scared of?
Flipper. All right. Let's move into the main event time. Colleagues of ours, such as Jay from the Sports Keg, have made big boy bets on this bout, and I can't wait to hear you guys break it down. 6'4" American Curtis Razor Blaydes, 13-2-0, opens at Bet365 at minus 275, quickly minus 400. Very quickly minus 400. Brandon Williams in the chat says Blaydes in a 25-foot cage is hell for anyone. Going up against 6'7" Russian Alexander Drago Volkov, 31-7-0, opens up as a plus 225. Dog is now a plus 300 dog, and Marco Ortega starts by using a Pistol Pete Loshak term, low-hanging fruit. Pete, is Curtis Razor Blaydes here low-hanging fruit?
At minus 200 or minus 150, definitely. At minus 400, you know, I mean, obviously, Blaydes should be a big favorite here, but yeah, it's a lot of disrespect for a guy like Volkov to say you have less than a 20% chance of winning. You know, Blaydes is obviously, maybe people would say that I'm disrespecting Blaydes by saying he has less than an 80% chance of winning, but at the very least, Volkov has a puncher's chance, right? Should Blaydes really? I didn't bet this one yet. I'm thinking about taking a shot with, with maybe under or the fight not going the distance. But again, that's a massive favorite line. I'm seeing under 4.5 at like minus 300 or something, which is, tempting. I haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. But Blaydes is obviously awesome. But 80% against Volkov, awesome? Maybe. I'm not convinced yet. But I'd love to hear what Nick and Clint have to say.
Pete is not convinced that Blaydes should be at minus 400. Boston Nick, what do you think of this spot? Josh Benedict says Blaydes is the best heavyweight minus Francis his right hand.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I'm just questioning 80% against Volkov. I don't know.
What do you think?
It's funny he says that because Blaydes is if you take Francis Ngannou out of the picture, like I said, right now Blaydes would be in that running for a title shot. So it's like Superman with a pocket full of kryptonite when you face Francis Ngannou if you're Blaydes. You know what I mean? So it's Blaydes or pass. You can't bet Volkov. If you want to, go ahead. In the small cage, I believe he's going to be taken down right away. The only thing that worries me is if he does telegraph the takedown and Volkov lands some sort of knee in the clinch or something like that. Other than that, he's getting taken down at will because Volkov has been taken down in the past very easily. His takedown defense isn't that great. And I do believe Blaydes gets him out inside the distance. So inside the distance, what can we get Blaydes at? Is it somewhat doable?
I don't know, but Dante Hines had a funny comment. He said, "You ever seen Rocky 6'7" Russians? Yeah, they're terrifying. They have more than a puncher's chance. They have the 6'7" Russians chance, which is more terrifying than a puncher's chance." Let's see.
Yeah.
You want
Blaydes?
Blaydes?
He's going to be scooped up and slammed onto his back. Yeah.
Blaydes inside the distance minus 175. Yeah, that makes sense to me. If I was going to take Blaydes, I would definitely take that and not just Blaydes to win at minus 400 for sure.
Pete, once he gets him in the, once he takes him down, he's in his guard. I like to call him Nicky Elbows. Okay,
yeah,
his elbows inside.
Nicky, show off some of those elbows.
That can come from here, anywhere you want. But I can give you this much: he can just stay inside his guard and knock this man out. He doesn't even have to pass aside or anything like that. He can stay inside his guard and beat the will out of Volkov. And that's exactly what's going to happen here.
If I was going to take Blaydes, no question, I'd go for inside the distance at less than minus 200 for sure.
Yep.
Pete says inside the distance if he was going to take Blaydes. Marco Ortega says the same thing. Yes, inside the distance. He says definitely not minus 400. Clint, have you made a move on this bout? Are you going to make a move on this bout?
I have made a move on this one, Jimmy. Remember that parlay I told you about a little earlier? I helped this line get to minus 400. I got in early on Blaydes. I knew this team was going to roll in, and he is part of my 2 times play. I've got him parlayed up with Roosevelt Robertson. Honestly, we're debating whether or not this man has an 80% chance of victory, and I got to tell you, I wouldn't be shocked if the reality was closer to 90 or 95% here.
Wow.
I don't see Volkov having a puncher's chance.
Nope.
He doesn't have the kind of power that it takes to put Blaydes away. Blaydes has shown that he's got a phenomenal chin. Even when getting punched by Francis Ngannou, he didn't go out cold like you see the other guys do.
Right.
When Francis punches somebody, you see their heads whip back and they're looking up at the lights and someone's cradling their head like they died, like Apollo Creed in the middle of the ring. That's not what happened. This man was pissed off when the referee waved the fight off. He wanted to continue. His chin is unreal. I don't see Volkov knocking this guy out. I just don't think he's got the power to do it. If your name is not Francis Ngannou, you don't beat Blaydes. If it wasn't for Francis, Blaydes would have the strap around his waist already. And Volkov does have a good takedown defense rating. However, I think it's a little bit of an illusion. He's fought Greg Hardy, Derek Lewis, Fabricio Verdum, Stefan Struve, Roy Nelson, and Tim Johnson. Which one of those guys is an elite wrestler?
Negative.
None of them. Not a one. And Fabricio Verdum did get some takedowns on him, but he's an old man and gassed out, and that's why Volkov got the TKO, because Verdum had nothing left to give. He ran out of steroids, and he got old overnight. We see that happen. This is a young monster in his prime, and I'm never stepping in front of Curtis Blaydes unless we get the trilogy with Francis Ngannou.
And I still might take Blaydes again there, just to see.
Ooh. Francis
I think
Ngannou is the king, my friend.
I think Blaydes is a future champ, and we'll see here, though.
I can't wait, because as soon as we get DC Stipe 3,
Yep.
those 2 old bums can get out of the way, and we'll have the rivalry of Francis Ngannou, Curtis Blaydes for the next 5 years.
Yep.
So from a total perspective, Pete, is there a move to be made in the main event?
Man, I don't know. Get back to me like, 8 o'clock on Saturday. Maybe I'll have a better answer. As of right now, I think I'm going to pass.
We have cappers in the chat talking about if there's a move to be made on the over 2.5. Nick, Clint, what do you think about the over here?
This is one I've been very, very suspiciously staring at, Jimmy, because if you remember, We took an over 2.5 when everyone said Amanda Nunes was going to win by first round knockout. And we're currently getting plus 115 on the over 2.5 with my boy Curtis Razor Blaydes. Now, the only issue that I have with that is the only time he's gone to decision in recent memory was against Justin Big Titty Willis. And that was back in 2019. He's been knocking out everybody since then. Mark Hunt was the only other decision that he went to. I think Volkov is durable enough to put up a bit of a fight here. I think Blaydes is going to take his time a little, but the small cage is the only reason I'm avoiding it. The small cage scares me. The fact that we're in that small cage makes Blaydes next to the L word for me, and I do think he wins by TKO. It's just a matter of what round he gets it done.
I think the smaller cage favors Blaydes maybe more than anyone else on this main card, you know?
Yeah. I would be tempted to take that over 2.5, but I'm already parlayed up on Blaydes, so I'm not gonna touch it at this point.
I'm not gonna touch it. I think he gets taken straight down and elbowed the F out, so I can't do it. Just can't do it. If it was one
Marco Ortega knows what's up.
That is your main event. Razor Blaydes versus Drago Volkov. And that is your main card. So let's go around the horn right now with best bets on the main card. On the preliminary card, we started with Pete. We went Pete, Nick, Clint. Let's go the opposite direction. Let's start with Clint. Best bet main card.
So, Jimmy, I've got a parlay on the main card, but I can't give you those lines. They're already done and gone. So that leaves me with only one option. Josh Emmett at dog odds is the best bet on this main card. Back that missile of a right hand that he's got. We're going to cash those tickets.
Josh Emmett, best bet on the main card from our man Clint Star, the Diehard MMA podcast. Boston Nick, a.k.a. Mr. Fat Fist, best bet main card.
That was mine. You got it again. We're going back and forth.
Hey, you got me on the first round, buddy. I owed you one.
I'm actually going to go with the under 2.5 in that fight at minus 135. Same fight, different bet.
Under 2.5. All these great MMA cappers in the chat. Let's pop your best bet on the main card in the chat, and I'll pop it up on the screen. Pistol
Give
Pete
him up. Let's go.
you've been getting a lot of love from the chat.
Oh, thanks.
Eric Dorfman said, I love this new dude with the beard.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
Pete, when my beard grows up, it wants to be your beard.
New dude, yeah.
New dude.
I'm the new kid on the block. Watch out for me.
Pete, best bet main card.
My best bet is a parlay of the opposite sides of my two picks in the Burgos Emmett fight and the Pennington Reneau fight. I like Pennington and Burgos, so my best bet is a parlay of Reneau and Emmett.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, I'm kidding around. I don't know. I guess.
What happened?
All right, whatever. I'll say my best bet is Jesus. I'll say my best bet. Well, okay. Under an Emmett and Burgos, or not going the distance.
I like it. Nick likes that as well. The under or not going the distance. I like it. There you have it. There is our main card. Big thank you to our MMA analysts. We have the legend, Pistol Pete Lodels Loshak in the house. Boston Nick, a.k.a. Mr. Fat Fist. We have Clint Star of the Diehard MMA podcast, but truly we have nothing without these great cappers in the chat. Connor McLaughlin, Mo Scream TV, we miss you, Big Mo. Gabriel Gillian, Diesel, Eugene, Eric Dorfman, Tomer Shapilka, Brandon Williams, Kane Jr., Marco Ortega, Josh and Bones, Midnight Picks, Prince of the City, Jesus Ortiz, Josh Benedict. What a great group. Regardless, the Hobo Pope. The Hobo Pope joined us as well. The Hobo Pope. Dante Hines.
People today live. That was awesome.
Eric Rosas. What a great group. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please hit the subscribe button. Odds HQ. Check out odds.com for us and follow us on Twitter, odds110. On behalf of all these great cappers on the screen, thank you guys so much for watching. But most importantly, get paid on Saturday night. Get that cash. And thank you so much for watching. Odds.com.
Let's go.